Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some entitled parents. Our first story today comes to us from Plurked, my stepdad's entitled mother. Let's jump right in. Backstory: when I was in kindergarten, I met my best friend. She was being raised by a single dad and her grandparents. Her mom was a drug addict and her dad was actually one of the first men in our state to win custody over the mother. This was the mid-90s and my state was a notorious mother state. They lived with his parents. Now, because she was a timid child, I was one of her only friends. That meant we spent a lot of time together. We even did the stereotypical wish we were sisters jargon, and sure enough, all the time we interacted, our parents started to gain an interest with each other. Now, for a bit of brief context, I never met my father. My mom, who has many tales of her own entitlement and narcissistic behaviors, married once when I was a baby, for financial security and so I could have a faux father figure, and got divorced after 6 years of marriage. My mom and my best friend's dad, who I will refer to as my stepdad from now on, didn't actually start dating until the day her divorce was final. Now, as I said earlier, we interacted a lot. She'd spend time at my house, I'd go to her house. Stepdad worked a lot, so it was usually her grandparents, specifically her grandma, who would keep an eye on us. Before our parents started to date, her grandma, who we'll call FSB for Frosty the Snowbee, which I shall explain the nickname later, was usually pretty cordial. I'm not the most outgoing person either, and adults intimidated me, but she hadn't done anything mean, yet. When our parents started dating, we'd spend a whole lot of time together as a family. My mom didn't speak to her mom, and my grandpa was dead, so eventually, my mom wanted to get to know his parents on a more familiar level. So they decided to go out for dinner one night. Now, I wasn't there for this. My older stepsister from my mom's first marriage was babysitting both us kids. But knowing what I know about Frosty the Snowbee, I don't doubt its validity, in spite of my mother's knack for embellishment. The first thing Frosty the Snowbee said to my mom when they sat down was, "So, are you going to get divorced yet, or what?" in the most indignant tone you can imagine. My mom was flabbergasted. She didn't know how to respond at first because she was so taken aback. She and stepdad insisted that her divorce was finalized on her birthday, which was maybe weeks prior, which didn't quell Frosty the Snowbee's existing animosity towards my mom. She basically spent the whole night treating my mom like dirt, making snide comments, while her husband and son ate in silence. On the drive home, my mom regarded his silence and even went as far as to say, "I see where you don't get it from." Surprisingly, he understood and took offense. Basically, my mom was saying he didn't understand what a B-word his mom was, and she was upset he didn't back her up or defend her. But as I've learned from many a Reddit story, a lot of toxic mother-son relationships are like that. Weeks later, we went to their house for a family dinner, where, long story short, Frosty the Snowbee tried to poison my mom with one of her allergens and accused me of having an eating disorder because I refused to eat her nasty, bland, stereotypical white people don't use seasoning bullpoop, and accused my mom of being bulimic because she was trying to get the allergen out of her system. I stood up to her and ended up getting into trouble. I was probably 8 at this point. Now, because both of our parents worked first shift, we had to spend summers at Frosty the Snowbee's house until we reached 5th grade. During those summers, we'd explore the neighborhood, hang out with other kids, practically avoid being there at all costs. Because all Frosty the Snowbee would do is run her mouth and say horrible, hurtful things I'd never entertain saying to someone I actually loathed. I'd also have to try to heat up canned ravioli when she wasn't around so I could eat. She would starve me since I wouldn't eat her food. It would piss her off more when her husband, we'll call him Jim, would make eggs and bacon for me and I'd eat them with no complaint. But he did bring out salt and pepper for me too. He wasn't a super nice dude, but he was a saint compared to that monster. Family holidays were awful too, but those deserve their own post. We finally moved into a house together the summer before 5th grade, on the same side of town, and for my mom and me, it was a way safer neighborhood than where we lived. That being said, our parents trusted 2 10-year-olds to fend for themselves. I have a 10-year-old now, and I wouldn't ever leave her home alone. But I won't deny my sister and I were pretty mature, as long as we didn't get into a stupid fight about something. Apparently, Frosty the Snowbee didn't agree with that. Out of emergency, our parents gave Jim and Frosty the Snowbee a spare key to the house. We were at home, enjoying our new house, probably playing, doing whatever 10-year-old girls do, when we hear someone walk into our house. Now, we were petrified, because who would be here at this time? So we run out to the living room, and there's Frosty the Snowbee, smirking at us, saying, "Oh, you girls must be up to no good if we scared you that bad." We looked at each other confused. I asked, "Do our parents know you're here?" She snaps at me, "I don't need their permission, especially from your whore of a mother." My jaw hit the floor. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't say anything. I was shocked. She then turned on her own granddaughter and started saying some stuff about her mother, a woman who hadn't been present for years at this point, the whole time with an evil grin. Again, we were both in shock. She then marched us to our rooms and instructed us to start throwing stuff away we didn't need. Now, my mom and I left a lot of stuff behind at our old house because our landlord was a slumlord who did a bunch of illegal stuff and basically locked us out before we could get out the rest of our stuff. My mom also made me give my dog to my stepbrother, previous marriage, and he ended up letting her run away. Never saw her again. That being said, I just changed my whole life and gave up so much at 10, and I wasn't going to allow this woman to make me get rid of the stuff I had left. I started to talk back, and she exploded on me. What she said still makes me sick. "You know what? You're nothing. Your mother is my son's servant, slave, and whore. And you're nothing more than a little whore. You'll be lucky to live in the basement and eat scraps." She then again turned on my sister. "And you think you're pretty? You're not pretty. You're ugly. And you're just like your drug whore of a mother." I started bawling and I ran out of the room, grabbed a cordless phone from my parents' room, and locked myself in the bathroom. I dialed my mom's work phone and told her what was happening. As I did that, Jim started pounding on the door, telling me to get out. As I said, he was a saint compared to Frosty the Snowbee, not here. He was standing there letting her say whatever the hell she wanted, and when I reacted, he got mad. Now, when I got a hold of my mom, I could only give her a very short version of the events taking place. All I said was, Frosty the Snowbee and Jim showed up, and that's all she needed. I was off the phone in 10 seconds, and I knew, without her saying anything, that she was about to be on her way home. Sadly, she worked 40 minutes away. When I got off the phone, I opened the door, smiled at Jim through tears, and told him I called my mom. The look of horror on his face was priceless as he turned back down the hallway to my room, where I could still hear Frosty the Snowbee going on a verbal tirade against her own baby's baby. Jim told her, "Erin is on her way." Let me tell you, it got real quite really fast, and they left. When my mom got home, she was furious. She saw what Frosty the Snowbee was making us do, and I guess while we were being screamed at, Jim was going through our parents' room. She drove over there immediately and demanded an explanation. I'm not even kidding when I tell you that Frosty the Snowbee flat out lied and said I was blowing everything out of proportion. I don't know what my mom said, but Frosty the Snowbee never said another horrible thing to us again, nor did she come over while we were home alone. However, this doesn't end here. Oh no. When we went back to school, she'd come over and rearrange the kitchen. My mom would come home super pissed off, and she'd call them, but they'd refuse to answer. She told stepdad to finally do something about his grunt mother. He basically said his hands were tied, until my mom had a brilliant idea. She finally remembered that, being that Frosty the Snowbee and Jim are old, their son has a spare key, which means she has a spare key. She went and made a copy of that spare key and told stepdad that either he can call his mother and tell her point blank to stop effing with our stuff, or my mom will come rearrange her entire house. Stepdad was scared and finally told his mom to cut it out, and probably told her of my mother's threats, because that also made her stop coming over. Present day, stepdad and sister don't talk. He accused her of stealing, though I'm convinced it was his parents. He's retired now, has an amazing pension, and they've been retired since before I was born, so they have literally nothing. Jim and Frosty the Snowbee expect stepdad to financially take care of them, Whereas, yeah, he paid for my sister's school, helped her financially and such, but she never freaking asked for or expected it. I think stepdad was being fed some crap from Frosty the Snowbee to turn him on his child so he could spend the money he was using to help her future to make their last years comfortable. But this is speculation. I don't know all the claims. I'm not technically invested in any of the drama, since stepdad and my mom broke up months before she died, but I have one final tale of Frosty the Snowbee. My stepdad invited me and my youngest out for dinner, since my eldest was with her dad, and I wasn't aware that his parents were going to be there. Now, we do have another older sister, whom I'm semi-close to now, because we have kids. Her kids are basically teens now and are terrified of Frosty the Snowbee and Jim. Frosty the Snowbee has shown her same kindness to her great-grandchildren. Ironically, she loved my eldest. I don't understand it. Apparently, they'd bring her over there and Frosty the Snowbee would show a side none of us have ever seen before. So I show up last, and sure enough, the only seats left are right next to Frosty the Snowbee. Reader, I purposefully turned my back on her the entire time, spoke to my nieces and nephew, would look over at her to talk to my stepdad, reached over her for salt. If she tried to talk to my kid, I'd draw attention away from her. Real, blatantly petty stuff. I don't normally act like this, but darn it, my mom's dead. I have no real parent left, except the mock family our parents tried to create, and I have no patience left for horrible human beings. You couldn't be respectful to me the entire time you've known me, and since my mama's not here to check me, I don't have to act any sort of way. So I let her know by my actions that she is the one who is really nothing. Karma is a bitch, isn't it? Well, OP, you did nothing to deserve all of that drama. So here's something that you should do when you're meeting somebody and deciding who you want to be with for the rest of your life. Take a very close look at the people that will become your in-laws, because the person you're with might turn out to be just like them. And even if they don't turn out to be like their parents, remember, you're gonna have to put up with those people for a very long time. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our next story today comes to us from RCR Moon. No, I will not watch your rude child. Let's jump right in. My son rides the bus with a very entitled, unruly girl that lies about everything and bullies people. The bus driver has my son where he can see him to prevent it on the bus. Her mother is just as bad. We do live in a rural area, so the bus stops are spread out. Entitled girl lives just far enough off, her mom drives her. On with the nonsense. We are down at the bus stop in my car because it's raining. Normally we walk, but who wants to go to school soaked? Passing time by playing I Spy and games on my phone, here comes entitled mother. She spots my car, entitled girl gets out and beelines to my car. Doors are locked. She runs back to entitled mother's car and loudly complains she can't get in. No, I am not letting her in either. Did it once, she trashed my car, was rude, never again. So, you need to let my daughter in? No, I don't. Some people have things to do and can't sit around all day. Some people have jobs, but still make sure their kids get on the bus. Go away. She tried to reach through the cracked window. Open this door right now. Entitled girl wants to sit in your car. I need my nails done. I can't wait here. Nope, not my kid, not my problem. Just get in your car. It's raining. At this point, I started closing the window and she jerked her hand back. She did not get in her car, but she decided to start hitting mine, screaming about her self-importance and me needing to understand her daughter is always right. No, I did not call the police. No need. The third kid at our stop is a sheriff's officer's son. We have a deal. I watch his son in the morning. He gets mine home safe in the afternoon. He pulls up to entitled mother beating my car, entitled girl screaming she is going to die of embarrassment now that people see her mother's car. Entitled mother, why are you beating on OP's car? It's raining. Go sit in yours. I unlock the doors for his son to get in. You see that? She won't let entitled girl in, but yet your son didn't even ask and she let him go in. She's disrespectful of important people's time. You are responsible for your child, not OP. She can decline access to her vehicle if she wants to. get in your car, or I'm gonna call my sergeant to authorize an impound, because you will go to jail for attempted destruction of OP's car and harassment. Entitled mother sulked back to her car, and the bus pulled up. Took my big umbrella out, got the boys on the bus. Entitled mother drove off before the bus closed the stop sign, so the officer stopped her for that violation. I went home chuckling. This goes back to a comment I've made on previous Entitled Parents posts, where there should be some kind of a test for a person to be a parent. Because if going to get your nails done is more important than getting your kid to school properly and trying to save them from a little bit of rain, then you shouldn't be a parent. Check out both OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.